Hello there, and in today's topic, we're going to be discussing an issue that can really change people's lives, and that's teen pregnancy. And how does teenage pregnancy impact their mental health? We'll talk about that in today's video. All right, if you imagine being a teenager and you've become pregnant, or you're the male who's gotten your girlfriend pregnant, think about the emotion and the stress that you experience. We're going to have to discuss all of that. What would that also do to your social relationships and family relationships and all those important networking kind of situations? We've got to have a discussion on the impact of that. How can you then help a teenager? How can teenagers begin to help get control of their thinking and their emotion and their mental health? And what can support networks do to help these young people keep a strong mental health? All those things we're going to be discussing in this video. Well, imagine being a teenage girl and a father, but so much of this is going to fall on the young woman who goes through the pregnancy, decides to keep the baby, even if she decides to put it up for adoption, right? Going through the whole process of going through the pregnancy. And there are emotional connections, hormonal changes, all this is going on. And when they do give birth, the emotionality, even if you're going to give the child up for adoption, that idea of bringing a child into the world and then what you're doing plays a role in your emotion. It cannot not do that. It adds stress. And if you're deciding that you're going to keep the child, what's the relationship with the father of that child? How much involved are they going to be? How do you care for the child? How do you do school, financial aspect? What about the financial burden of trying to bring this child up? All these things add layers of stress far beyond what teenagers are dealing with anyways. We've already talked in other videos about what stress does to the teenage brain, right? Well, the increased levels of stress hormone, more constant, more regular. The teen sleep habits are already tough. Now you have a baby, so if you've kept the baby, you're trying to deal with that. It's just a cycle just set up for this young mother to experience high levels of depression, anxiety, worry, stress, and constant stress. And that impacts their ability to make decisions, impacts their ability to care for the child, impacts their ability to handle their relationships, all of this. And depending on the involvement of the father can have also their own emotions, their own stressors, as particularly if they want to be a father, want to be involved. But even those who just try to forget it, put up that bravado of it's her problem or whatever, unconsciously they can't just abandon it. There is a connection that happens that when they try to bury it, it has a negative impact on their own mental health. So you couple that, put all those things together, and it's a recipe for some real challenges when it comes to managing your mental health. While a young woman is pregnant and she's a teenager, so she's in school, there's this social stigma attached to this, and there could be isolation. You can't do the things that you might normally be doing because you're now pregnant. You have a life coming inside you. That social separation that's naturally happening while you're pregnant, never mind after you've given birth, particularly if you're keeping the child, and then you've got to be a mom. So your social world, your peers is gone, right? You just cannot really be leading a normal teenage life when you're a mother or while you are pregnant. So that isolation can really feed this sense of loneliness and all. It is different for males uh, and not nearly as dramatic as it is for female, but some of that can happen as well, particularly if the father is concerned about being a father. Like if he's really like, I'm bringing a child into the world, then he's also going to be experiencing some of that separation socially because he's going to take that responsibility seriously and spend time with his girlfriend and forego some of those usual teenage things. And this can create stress. It can create stress in their life because they feel like they're missing out on something. That can also impact their self-image and self-esteem because what they viewed as possible might not be possible for them now, given those circumstances. So those all play an impact on their mental health. As I share all the time, the answer to what a teenager can do who's now found themselves in the situation is all about their mindset. It's how they go about thinking and viewing this situation. It begins by taking responsibility. What I mean by that is taking responsibility for the labels and the beliefs that you have around the situation. This has happened, and you can't change that this has happened. What you do about this situation now, the thinking patterns that you have given this situation, the beliefs that you develop or choose to hold on to will impact how you handle it all. All those things will dramatically impact how much you feel stress from the situation. Now, being a teenage mom, being a teenage parent, there increases stress levels because there's a whole lot of other factors going on there. So it becomes vitally important that you set up beliefs about your ability to handle those situations and your ability to persevere in the face of setbacks and those sort of mindset related issues, your ability to take control over your emotions, the habits that will allow you to gain control of your emotions. That becomes crucial to develop for any parent, really. As a father of four, any parent can use those skills, but especially so as teenagers. And that is all about going through training and purposefully recognizing what you need to do and working on developing those skills and habits and beliefs and emotional management. One of the simple facts of the matter is about teenage pregnancy is it's not just the mother and father's lives that have been impacted. It really is their parents' lives too, or the grandparents of the babies, because they will end up bearing some responsibility for trying to help their child out in any way they can to raise this child. It can go beyond just the grandparents, right? Extended family might be able to provide some services and help because you inevitably going to want these teenagers to finish their schooling, to try to do whatever they can to get that education that's going to be so important for them to help provide for this child financially speaking. I mean, the difference between a high school diploma and no high school diploma in terms of the income you earn over your lifetime is dramatic, let alone college education versus just a high school diploma. So these things are going to factor in, trying to help them not just financially, but with time, and trying to manage their time to help raise the child. All these things put stressors beyond just the parents. And this is also where social organizations can come into play, whether it's church or faith-based groups or social work kind of organizations that are provided by the local communities. All of these are services that you'll need to be tapped into to really help the parents deal with their mental health so they can be strong enough to help raise this child successfully. So a lot of this video focused on not just the pregnancy aspect, but what happens if they keep the child. Well, there are other options that some couples will choose. Put it up for adoption or abortion. And in either case, during the pregnancy, if you're putting up for adoption, there's emotional aspects that really impact the mental health. A lot of the things we already talked about. And also with abortion, if you choose that, there's a lot of emotional risks that come with abortion. There's quite a few studies in there about the mental health impact on women who choose abortion as well. So they need to be prepared to deal with all those things. So that kind of wraps up what I wanted to talk about in this video. As always, I encourage you to subscribe to our channel, check out our other videos. In particular, you might want to check out the video, How Can Cyberbullying Impact Teenagers' Mental Health? Check that video out today, and hopefully I'll see you in another one.